Evan Carter walked across the wide red desert with steady steps, pushing through the hot wind that always blew across this forgotten land. His boots sank into soft red dust that stretched forever. He was a human explorer, a man who traveled alone from one abandoned place to another, searching for old technology left from the first colony wars. People called him quiet, but he liked silence. It helped him think. His scanner beeped softly, showing a faint signal somewhere ahead. It was weak, almost lost, but it meant something metallic was buried under the sand. Evan adjusted the small device on his wrist and followed the direction it pointed. He walked for another 20 minutes before he saw something sticking out of the ground, a bent piece of metal, half covered by dust and rock. He brushed it gently. The metal was part of a small skiff, a scavenger ship used by people who searched the desert for scrap. It looked like it crashed recently. The sand around it was still smooth, not settled by time. Evan stepped closer, scanning for life signs. His device showed a slow, weak pulse. Someone was alive. He moved around the skiff and froze when he saw a figure sitting on the ground. A woman knelt there, leaning forward with her hands in the sand as if she no longer had strength to hold herself up. Her long dark hair was tangled, and her clothes were dusty and torn from travel. Her skin was sunburned, her lips cracked from dehydration. She looked like she had been here for days. When she heard footsteps, she lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were tired but full of fear and hope at the same time. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please, don't leave me here. Don't let me die out here." Evan knelt in front of her. "I'm not leaving you," he said gently. "You're safe now." She swallowed hard, trying to keep her eyes open. "I can help you. I can work. I can be useful. Just don't leave me alone. I don't want to die." Her words shook not because of wrong meaning, but because she was terrified and desperate to survive. Evan placed a water pouch against her hands. "Drink. That's all you need to do right now." Her fingers trembled as she lifted the pouch to her mouth. She took small sips, then another, then another. With each swallow, some color returned to her face. When she finished drinking, she breathed out shakily and looked at him again. "My name is Nayeli," she said in a weak voice. "I'm from an Apache settlement north of here." Evan nodded. "I'm Evan. I'm going to help you stand." He lifted her gently, supporting her weight easily. She was light, almost too light. He could feel how long she had been without proper food or rest. She tried to walk but stumbled. Evan caught her before she fell, and she gripped his arm tightly. "I thought no one would come," she whispered. "The desert eats everything. People, ships, animals, everything disappears." "Not today," Evan said softly. Nayeli looked up at him, tears forming in her eyes but not falling. "Thank you, truly." Evan helped her move away from the crashed skiff. As the sun dropped lower in the sky, the desert air grew colder. The red desert always changed fast. One moment burning hot, the next moment freezing. Evan activated a small portable shelter, a metal half-dome that opened when he pressed a button. It was not large, but enough for 2 people. He guided Nayeli inside and gave her a heat blanket. She sat down slowly, wrapping it around herself. Her hands stopped shaking after a minute. She looked around the shelter, then back at him. "You travel alone?" she asked quietly. "Yes," Evan replied. "Usually." "Why?" "It's easier. I don't have to worry about anyone else." Nayeli lowered her eyes. I wish I had someone with me before. Maybe I wouldn't have crashed." Evan sat across from her and checked her vitals with his scanner. She was dehydrated but stable. No broken bones, just exhaustion and fear. "What happened?" he asked softly. She took a breath before answering. I went looking for scrap. People in my settlement do that to earn food credits. I thought the sky was clear, but a sandstorm came fast. My skiff got hit by lightning. It fell from the air and crashed. I was thrown out. When I woke up, I was alone, and the storm had taken half my supplies. You survived, Evan said. That already says a lot about you. Nayeli gave a weak smile. I didn't want to give up. But after the second night, when the wind was so cold, I thought maybe that was it. Evan reached into his bag and handed her a small nutrient bar. Eat this slowly. She followed his instructions, taking small bites. With each bite, her eyes grew a little brighter, her breathing steadier. Outside, the desert wind howled against the metal shell of the shelter. Nayeli flinched at the sound, remembering the endless nights she had endured. It still scares me, she said softly. That wind. It sounds like voices. It's just the sand hitting the metal, Evan replied. Nothing else. Nayeli nodded slowly, then studied him with curious eyes. You don't seem afraid of anything. I'm afraid of many things, Evan said. I just keep moving anyway. She pulled the blanket tighter around herself and looked down at her hands. You could have walked past me, she whispered. People do that sometimes. They see someone weak and think it's trouble. I'm not that kind of person, Evan said simply. Nayeli met his eyes again. I want to repay you. Somehow. You don't need to. Staying alive is enough. She hesitated, then spoke quietly. I said earlier, I could be a good wife to you. I didn't say that because I wanted anything from you. I was just scared. In my culture, when a woman is alone in danger, she asks for protection in any way she can. It's tradition, not anything else. Evan nodded gently. I understand. You were afraid. No need to explain. Nayeli exhaled in relief. Thank you. I didn't want you to misunderstand. You're safe, Evan said again, and this time she truly seemed to believe him. Night came fast, the desert sky filled with stars brighter than city lights. Evan placed a heat lantern in the center of the shelter. Soft, warm light filled the space. Nayeli lay down, finally able to rest. Evan sat near the entrance, keeping watch. He didn't sleep easily when someone was injured. He listened to the wind, the faint crackle of sand hitting metal, the quiet breathing of the woman behind him. An hour passed, then 2. Suddenly his scanner beeped again, this time not for life but for movement. Evan looked at the screen. Small shapes were approaching from the east. 3, no, 4 of them. They moved slowly but with steady purpose. He narrowed his eyes. Autonomous probes, old machines left from the early days of interplanetary wars. Most were harmless unless activated by energy signals. Nayeli's crashed skiff had energy residue. It could have awakened them. Evan lowered the scanner. He didn't want to alarm her, but he needed to be ready. The probes were small but dangerous if they viewed humans as threats. He reached for his toolkit quietly. No weapons, he didn't carry those, but he had tools that could disable machines without damaging their cores. Behind him, Nayeli stirred in her sleep, then woke slowly. Evan, is something wrong? He turned to her with calm eyes. There are probes outside, old ones. They're just curious, not attacking. Her face paled. They killed people in the old stories. Those were war models, Evan said gently. These are scavenger types. They only react if something scares them. Nayeli sat up, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. What do we do? We wait, Evan said. They scan and leave. But as they waited, a bright blue pulse flashed across the desert in the distance. Evan frowned. That was not normal. It was a controlled signal, not random machine energy. Nayeli felt it too. She touched the small pendant around her neck, a simple stone with metallic lines carved through it. My grandmother gave this to me, she said slowly. She said it was old, very old, passed down for generations. The pendant glowed softly for the first time. Evan's breath caught. That isn't just a pendant. I don't understand, Nayeli whispered. Why is it glowing? The probes outside suddenly stopped moving. The shelter's scanner beeped again, this time showing the probes were not just observing, they were responding. Evan moved beside Nayeli, steady but alert. Something in your pendant activated a signal. We need to find cover before they investigate the source. Nayeli looked frightened but trusted him. She grabbed his arm again, not with desperation this time, but because the desert outside felt unknown and dangerous. Evan opened the shelter door slowly. The probes stood on the dunes like metal insects, their small eyes glowing faintly. They didn't move toward them. They waited. We need to go, Evan whispered. Nayeli nodded, gripping his sleeve as they stepped out into the cold night. The desert was silent, almost too silent. The sky pulsed again from the distance. Reacting to the pendant, Evan guided her toward an old research station he had passed earlier in his travels. It was miles away, but they could reach it with steady pace. Nayeli walked beside him, tired but determined. Why are they following us? She asked softly. They're not following us, Evan said. They're following your pendant. It's just a family relic, she said weakly. No, Evan replied. It's alien tech, and whatever it does, it's waking up. They continued walking through the night. The probes moved behind them like silent shadows. When the sun began to rise, turning the desert gold, they finally reached the abandoned research station. Its walls were cracked, its doors rusted, but it still stood strong. Nayeli looked at it with hope. We can rest here? Yes, Evan said. We'll be safe for now. They entered the station. The air smelled old, but still breathable. Evan followed the corridors until they reached the central room. There was dust everywhere, but something else, too. Machines, screens, and a tall metal pillar glowing faintly. The moment Nayeli stepped inside, the pillar lit up brighter. She froze. Evan? What is happening? Evan stared at the pillar, his voice quiet but filled with shock. It's responding to you. The pillar hummed and activated. Strange symbols appeared in the air like floating light. Nayeli held the pendant tightly, her heart racing. Outside, the probes stopped moving completely. Inside, the pillar's light grew stronger. Evan realized something important. This woman, alone in the desert, carried a key that could awaken technology thousands of years old. And now, everything had begun to change. The moment the pillar lit up, Evan felt the temperature in the room change. The dusty air became warmer, almost gentle, as if the station itself was waking from a long sleep. Strange symbols floated in the air like soft blue shapes. They moved slowly, shifting around Nayeli as if scanning her. Nayeli stepped back in fear. Evan, it's looking at me. Evan moved to stand beside her. It's scanning your pendant, not you. But stay close. She nodded, clutching his sleeve tightly. The glowing lines inside the pillar brightened until the entire room had a soft blue glow. It was not frightening, but mysterious, like stepping into a forgotten story. Evan studied the floating symbols, observing how they shifted whenever Nayeli breathed. Each time her pendant emitted a faint pulse, the symbols changed direction. It's reacting directly to you, Evan said quietly. Nayeli touched the pendant. My grandmother always said it was old, older than our tribe. She said our ancestors found it in the desert long ago. Evan thought for a moment. If it's alien tech, then your ancestors must have discovered it by accident, and over time it became part of your traditions. Nayeli looked around at the glowing room. Why me? Why not someone else? Maybe your family line carried the right pattern, Evan said. Something in your blood, or the way the pendant connects. Some tech from other worlds doesn't follow logic. It follows signals. The room vibrated softly, like a heart beating deep underground. Then the pillar released a gentle wave of blue light that spread across the walls and ceiling. The dust disappeared as if swept away by unseen hands. Screens on the walls flickered and turned on for the first time in decades. Nayeli gasped. "The whole station! It's waking up!" Evan nodded. "And it's responding to your pendant as if recognizing a command." A soft sound echoed from the door. Evan immediately stepped in front of Nayeli, but when the sound came again, he relaxed a little. It was not a creature or a threat. It was one of the small probes that had followed them through the desert. It floated at the doorway silently. Its metal eyes glowed pale blue, the same color as the pillar's light. Evan noticed something important. They were not glowing red, which meant danger. They were calm, waiting. The probe moved slightly, as if bowing toward Nayeli. She stared at it in shock. "Evan, why is it doing that?" "Because your pendant is controlling the beacon," Evan said softly. "And the beacon controls the probes." Nayeli shook her head slowly. "I don't want control. I just want them to stop following us." Evan walked toward the central console and touched the screen. The symbols rearranged themselves as if welcoming him. He found a simple interface, old but understandable with enough patience. As he pressed a few keys, the images changed into a map of the desert. Lines of blue light extended far into the dunes, showing hidden tunnels, buried outposts, and lost technology. Evan felt his heart race. There was far more under the ground than anyone ever imagined. Nayeli stepped closer. "What is all that?" "Your pendant activated a network," Evan explained. "This place is not just a research station. It's a central hub. That pillar is a signal tower." Nayeli stared at the glowing map. "So, everything outside woke up because of this?" "Yes." The probe in the doorway moved slowly into the room. It was no longer threatening. It projected a small beam of light toward them. A new symbol appeared on the screen, a symbol matching the carving on Nayeli's pendant. Nayeli's eyes widened. "Same pattern." "That means you're the key," Evan said. "The station accepts you." Her hands trembled slightly. "But I didn't do anything." "You survived," Evan said gently. "And you carried something your ancestors protected for centuries. That alone makes you important." Nayeli looked at him, her eyes softening. "Thank you for staying with me through all this." "We're in it together," Evan replied. Suddenly, the beacon pulsed strongly again. The entire station shook slightly. Evan looked toward the doorway where more probes appeared. Floating inside carefully, they circled the pillar like small guardians. The probes projected images into the air. Old archives showing the sky filled with giant ships long before humans lived on this land. Alien explorers working on machines, passing strange devices between them. Then, an image of them leaving, abandoning their technology behind. Nayeli whispered, "They left it for people who would come later?" "Maybe," Evan said. "Or maybe they left in a hurry." One final image appeared, an alien being placing a small, glowing object into the hands of an early human. A woman from an ancient tribe. Nayeli gasped softly. That looks like my pendant." Evan stared. "Your people were chosen." The images faded and the probes dimmed their lights. Evan turned back toward Nayeli. She looked overwhelmed, but her eyes were full of determination. "How do we stop the probes from following us everywhere?" she asked. "My settlement will be scared if they see these things." "We need to send a message through the beacon," Evan said. "Something that tells the network to stand down." He studied the console again. Many symbols looked complicated, but one section had a simple repeating pattern that matched Nayeli's pendant. Evan tapped it, then stepped aside. "This part needs you," he said. "Only someone with your pendant can activate it." Nayeli hesitated. What if I do something wrong? I'll guide you, Evan said gently. She placed her hand near the console. The pendant glowed brighter, and the symbols arranged themselves neatly into lines and circles. Evan studied them quickly. Touch the center, he whispered. Nayeli did. A wave of soft white light burst from the pillar, spreading across the station and out into the desert. Evan looked at the scanner. The probe lights outside turned blue, then faded. One by one, the probes shut down, not dead, but resting, powered off by a peaceful command. It worked, Evan said softly. Nayeli let out a long breath. They're not following us anymore? No. You told them to sleep. Nayeli smiled with relief, the first real smile since Evan found her. Then we did it. Evan nodded, but his eyes were still scanning the station. There's more here, more information, more technology, and it's connected to your people. Nayeli touched the pendant gently. This small thing, all my life I thought it was just a family relic. It's a legacy, Evan said, a very old one. She looked at him with thoughtful eyes. What do we do now? Before Evan could answer, the console lit up with new symbols. This time it projected a path leading deeper into the station. A hidden door slid open in the back wall, revealing a hallway that had been locked for centuries. Nayeli stepped closer. It's showing us something. Evan nodded. Let's see. They walked through the hallway, the lights turning on automatically. The corridor led to a circular chamber where a large metal container stood. Soft blue lines ran across it like veins. When Nayeli approached, the lines glowed brighter. Inside the container, through a transparent panel, they saw strange alien tools, small devices shaped like stones, and star maps carved into metallic plates. Nayeli whispered, all of this belongs to my people now. Yes, Evan said. Your tribe deserves to know the truth. Nayeli turned to him. But they won't understand it without someone to explain. Evan looked at the star maps again, studying them with interest. I can help you. Together, we can bring this knowledge back to your settlement. Maybe it can help your people grow, survive, and protect themselves. She smiled softly. You've already protected me. And now, you want to help my people too. I want to help because it's the right thing, Evan said simply. They began gathering the safe items, star maps, harmless tools, and information crystals. The beacon stayed active, lighting their path. Outside, the desert was calm now. No probes, no threats, just a peaceful silence. As they prepared to leave the station, Nayeli touched the pillar once more. It glowed gently, as if saying farewell. She placed her palm on its smooth surface. Thank you, she whispered, though she didn't know who she was thanking. The ancient aliens, her ancestors, or the desert itself. Evan watched her quietly. In her calm expression and steady eyes, he saw strength. She had survived the desert, faced strange machines, awakened ancient technology, and still stood firm. You're stronger than you think, he said. Nayeli smiled with gentle pride. You helped me stand, but I want to keep standing on my own now. They stepped outside the station. The early afternoon sun warmed the desert, making the sand glow gold. Evan set the coordinates for her settlement on his device. As they began walking, Nayeli glanced at the quiet dunes around them. It feels different now. Like the desert is peaceful again. Because you turned off the old machines, Evan said. And you helped me do it, Nayeli replied. They walked together, the desert wind softer than before. Hours passed, but the journey felt lighter. Near sunset, wooden towers appeared in the distance, watchposts of Nayeli's settlement. She stopped for a moment, taking a deep breath. Her eyes looked emotional, but strong. I never thought I would see home again. You're almost there, Evan said. And you? She asked gently. Will you come inside? Evan hesitated. If your people are comfortable. They will be, she said confidently, because I will tell them everything. How you helped me, how you stayed with me, and how humans can do great things when they are kind. Evan felt something warm in his chest. He wasn't used to being praised, but her words meant something real. They continued walking. As they reached the gates, people rushed forward, family, friends, elders. Nayeli was greeted with tears, hugs, and relief. She held the pendant in her hand and raised it gently. This saved me, she told them, but Evan helped me understand it, and he protected me. Evan stood quietly, watching the reunion, but then the elders approached him. The oldest among them bowed slightly. You brought our daughter home, the elder said. You will always be welcome here. Evan nodded respectfully. She was strong. I only guided her. Nayeli stepped beside him. And now our people will learn about our past, the real past. The elders listened as Nayeli began explaining everything, the beacon, the probes, the hidden chamber, the legacy of their ancestors. The settlement gathered around, eager to learn. Evan stood back, watching her speak with new confidence. She no longer looked like the frightened woman he found in the desert. She looked like someone who had discovered something great within herself. As the sun set behind the red hills, Nayeli turned toward Evan again. Her eyes shone with gratitude and calm strength. You didn't just save my life, she said softly. You helped me find my purpose. And you reminded me why I explore, Evan replied. To help, not just to collect. She smiled. Wherever you go next, the desert will remember you. Evan felt the wind brush past them gently, almost as if agreeing. He looked toward the desert, then back at her. If you need me again, I'll come. Nayeli's hands closed around the pendant. And if the beacon ever wakes again, I'll be ready. The desert evening wrapped them in peaceful silence. Evan knew he would continue his journeys, but he also knew this one meant more than any before. Together they had awakened old mysteries, calmed ancient machines, and built a bridge between past and present.